U2 Dragon Lady, a 60-year-old reconnaissance aircraft still in active service with USAF. What makes this aircraft so incredible that it outlived its supersonic successor SR-71 Blackbird? We shall learn this in this video. The origin of U2 can be traced back to World War II, when US military required a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft. Then in 1953, Kelly Johnson, a leading aeronautical engineer at Lockheed Corporation, who established Skunk Works in 1943 and was responsible for designing the first jet fighter for US military known as P-80 Shooting Star and the fastest propeller-driven aircraft P-38 Lightning, proposed a design of a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft. At that time, US military used RB-57 Canberra, which was a derivative of English Electric Canberra, for strategic reconnaissance. But very soon, RB-57 with flight altitude of 64,000 feet became obsolete as Russian radars became better. Now, CIA and USAF needed an aircraft with a flight ceiling of over 70,000 feet and capable of very long-range strategic reconnaissance. There was almost no information coming out of Soviet Union about its military capabilities, and CIA was in dire need of an aircraft which can help them out with this whole situation. In 1953, Kelly Johnson proposed the idea of this high-altitude, long-range reconnaissance aircraft, but there were many more competitors in the market. But Johnson was confident that his aircraft and his design was much more superior to others. To cut through the competition, Kelly Johnson proposed a prototype delivery date within 8 months of contract signing. This deadline seemed impossible, but not impossible enough for Johnson. On July 29, 1955, about 9 months after the contract signing, U2 took its first flight. But US Air Force was still very skeptical about the performance of this aircraft, and several analysts believed that U2 being used by USAF in Soviet territory during the peacetime might provoke a war. The agency which finally ended up operating this aircraft at first was CIA. But soon USAF came along with a caveat of using much powerful J-57 engine. Now soon both CIA and USAF funded the development of this aircraft, and both conducted their own separate flight tests. U2 conducted many overflights over Eastern Bloc, over Hungary, and Soviet interceptors could not reach the heights and altitudes of U2 for a long time. US also took pictures of Israeli nuclear program post-Suez Canal crisis. In interesting development, Israeli Air Force deployed Watcher aircraft to photograph the mysterious aircraft which was flying at such a high altitude, which obviously was U2. U2 performed many more overflights over the communist Soviet territory, taking off from UK. Soviet radars could track the aircraft, but there was not much that they can do. Soviet interceptors were not able to climb the altitude of 70,000 feet. But on July 10, 1956, Soviet reported an American twin-engine bomber aircraft flying over Soviet territory, presumably P-57 Canberra. Now, this confirmed the capabilities of Soviet radars being able to track U2. But these overflights helped US to diffuse many misconceptions that US military had for Soviet bomber capabilities. But there was an attempt by CIA to make U2 more stealthy, known as Project Rainbow, which eventually sparked the development of SR-71. But things were getting better for Soviet Union also. Surface-to-air missiles of Russia were now becoming much more capable. Having this information still did not stop CIA to perform several overflights over Soviet Union. Until now, U2 was able to map 15% of Soviet territory and was able to produce over 5,500 reports. But all of this was going to end. On May 1st, 1960, a Dragon Lady piloted by Francis Gary Power was shot down by Soviet air defense forces using a S-75 Dvina surface-to-air missile. Pilot Francis Gary was captured and he became prisoner of war. The aircraft took flight from Peshawar, Pakistan. Its mission was to picture Soviet ICBMs at several cosmodromes and later land in Norway. Although President Eisenhower was skeptical of high-altitude reconnaissance over Soviet Union, he thought it might spark a hot war between both the nations. Still, the pictures taken by U2 of Soviet military facilities made him allow these missions. But after 4 years of powerlessness, Soviet Union was able to track and destroy the aircraft with their brand new S-75 Dvina surface-to-air missiles. Powers was later returned to US and he continued the helicopter flights with CIA. In short, this incident sealed the Soviet capability to intercept U2, and U2 was not invincible anymore, and the aircraft potentially became obsolete in just 5 years. But did it? U2 has been extensively in use in modern times. U2 was upgraded with better General Electric F118 turbofan engine. U2 was supposed to be retired in 2012, but it's still in service and won't be retiring for indefinite time frame. U2 has gone through several avionics and performance upgrades, and there are more plans. U2s built in 1980s still have their 80% of airframe life remaining. Lockheed is upgrading the processing unit with a system called Enterprise Mission Computer 2. Lockheed is also upgrading new cockpit, touchscreen display, better image processing capabilities, networking with satellites, better sensors, electronic systems. Basically, the new upgrade can increase U2's life for next decade. U2 was spaciously used in Iraq War, Afghanistan War, even flew over non-fly zone over Syria, and was used to assess the damage in Japanese nuclear reactor. U2 was also used by NASA for high-altitude civilian observation. The Dragon Lady is very much in service and stated to remain in service for a long time. The reason U2 is so much successful and efficient is because of its high performance, unparalleled capabilities, and low per hour cost as compared to drones like Global Hawk. But what is next? Technically, U2 was supposed to be replaced by SR-71 back in 1960s and 70s, but that never happened. There was an attempt to make a sleeker and stealthier version of U2, which also never happened. But since U2s are no longer in production, sooner or later there will be a replacement carried out. In 2015, Lockheed proposed a replacement to U2 with a plane called TRX. This aircraft will be stealthy and will be unmanned and can fly at 70,000 feet and will be capable of doing similar missions as U2. But there has been no update on the latest development of this aircraft. RQ-4 Global Hawk was supposed to replace U-2s, but the program was ended in 2014 and Dragon Lady is still in service. Aircrafts like SR-71 are also in the pipeline, but these aircrafts cannot replace the workhorse like U-2. But there will be eventually an unmanned aircraft that will replace U-2. But this aircraft does not seem to be going anywhere for at least 1 decade. And the legacy of U-2 Dragon Lady will always be remembered as a legend. I'm Spearhead. If you like these kind of videos, then please subscribe to my channel, like this video. Spearhead over and out.